Hi guys, welcome back. All right, so I decided I would go live because, as I mentioned to you guys before, I've been doing some traveling. I've been gone. Right now, I'm kind of the first leg of my journey is over, so I had time to go ahead and we'll have time for a little while to get back to a normal schedule before I have to do some more pre-recorded videos. As I mentioned earlier, about a week ago, I said I'm going to be traveling on again, off again, all the way up through June 10th, because life requires that. So sometimes I'll be able to be a normal, present and everything, and the way we like to do things. And then other times I'll have to do some pre-recordings. So for about a week or so, I'll be able to be here as usual. So you guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thank you everybody who's been so kind, so awesome, who's still been, being a part of my channel for the what I don't know, like the first several days at leg of my journey where I was away. So thank you guys so much for that. All right, so let's jump on into this bonus general message. So I always start these out with something. Hey Nina, well, good to see you. Hi everybody, peace and love. St. James 314, Warrior in Chains, Dr. Salheni, please forgive me that I mispronounced your name. Chris, Angel Flower, great to see everybody. All right, so these bonus general messages, I always start out with something real that happened pertaining to my dog, and then we see if that sets a tone for anything. And while I was on the first leg of my journey, Aries goes everywhere that I go. And that means that, our routine changes, but some things I keep the same. Well, my training sessions with him, I keep the same because he still is only 2, a little older than 2 years old. Boy, I've got makeup everywhere tonight, don't I? But that means I still have to train with him no matter what. And when I train with him, it's kind of like that's when I don't want, strangers coming up and petting him. Distractions are fine, but he still has to pay attention to me, but I don't break and then let people pet him. That really annoyed somebody. They were quite irate with me because I said, oh, thank you so much for wanting to pet him, but we're actually in training right now. And it's like he's in class, and she was not having any of it. And I've never had somebody get mad at me for, explaining that now is not the time to pet dog, because she really wanted a pet dog. And so I thought that was interesting. So here's what I'm going to say for the starting point of this. It could be that perhaps we have a character out there who wants things their way, even if it's not really their place to say what they want. They may still, hey, we all want stuff our way, right? I'm no different, but let's keep that in mind. We just got a 7 of Cups. So there's this element of confusion, followed by a 6 of Wands in the reverse. This is, maybe that's why somebody is confused though. Maybe, well, let's use the mention that I already made where someone wanted to pet my dog, but I said, I'm sorry, right now he's in training, so he can't be pet until we finished our session. That could have felt like a rejection or something. So maybe we have a character who's like confused and feels rejected or doesn't feel very great about something, even though it certainly was never directed at them. So I just want to mention it like that because sometimes, especially when we put confusion together with the, a 6 of Wands in the reverse is like, I didn't have success in something. So that might be something to be mindful of, like the way we respond to somebody, right? Maybe I needed to be more sensitive, for example. But it wouldn't have changed my answer because I gotta train the dog. But with this storyline, someone could be confused and feel like, oh, wow, I was told no, or, oh, wow, I don't have success in this situation. And I'm not really sure why. Maybe somebody's not even sure why they feel like, oh, that made me feel unhappy. Whatever this situation is about, obviously it's not about somebody's dog. But we've got a 7 of Pentacles and we have the Justice card. It's almost like if somebody sits with it and lets their mind sift through the information for a while, they may actually see it in a different light. The Justice card for me shows up when somebody, like something that was wrong needs to be made right. And in particular, this Justice card is giving us the concept of, the Egyptian concept of Ma'at and Isfet. So the difference between chaos and harmony in the universe is really what this Justice card represents. And it was interesting because the Egyptians knew that you have to have a certain amount of chaos. Everything can't be overly orderly because think of it, the analogy I like to use is how in our genetics, when we're born, or part of our, mother and part of our father, the genetics that get expressed, the things that wind up like sticking and making us us and unique from every other human being on earth, that's a different, and almost random. There's a randomness to that makes us so uniquely special and just us. And I feel like that's the best way to describe this, the balance between order and chaos in the universe. We still have to have some randomness that actually adds like variety, and variety is important. And so this is talking about the variety of ways that a situation can pan out and the lessons we can learn out of those. It might take a little time for someone who previously felt rejected by something, unhappy about something, confused about what happened, to then sit with that for a while. And over time, the thought process kind of like evolves and they go, oh, wait a minute, maybe I didn't see that exactly as it was. Okay, now things are falling into place. Now I can see why something happened and how it might have actually worked out all for the best. Something was balanced. So let's just talk about, what was this character feeling rejected over? Because we definitely see a rejection there. 10 of Wands, something that they really wanted to lay down burdens on. This could have been somebody thought they were going to finally, achieve something, and then it fell short of that. They were thinking, I was finally, say this is about someone who thought I was finally going to be able to have that conversation with an individual, and we were going to be able to, bury the hatchet. And then that conversation didn't happen. Why did they not want to have that conversation that could have healed things, that could have let me feel better? Why won't they let me have that final, what I need to wrap something up? Or why has somebody forsaken me? Why have somebody they've denied me the chance to lay something to rest? 9 of Pentacles, 3 of Cups, Ace of Swords, and the Sun. Yeah, it was like, I'm gonna say it this way. I think right now we've got a situation where somebody feels like they believed they were going to be able to have one more conversation and maybe even show off how they're doing better now. And they were then they had it all fantasy land, like mapped out in their mind. I'm going to get to talk to this person. And I'm going to mention it this way. It's all divine masculines on this card. Okay. We could have had a divine masculine who in their mind, they thought, I'm going to be able to talk to someone one more time, and I'm going to be able to, they're going to see me in a different light. They're going to see that I'm super successful now. They're going to want to reconnect with me. It's going to be great. Everything's going to be clear. It's going to be wonderful. I'm going to be soaring high. And it's going to be happy. I'm going to be happy. Instead, why didn't I get to have that? Why did somebody tell me no? I was supposed to be able to lay down this burden, but it's as if they're saying somebody won't let me do that. Why will somebody not let them do that? I don't even know if that's true. That's just how it's coming up. Page of Wands in the reverse. That is a no thank you. Delinda, thank you, sweetheart. You angel. Thank you. You're so generous. Everybody, thank you for being here. You guys are amazing. For those of you who popped in late, I just finished the first leg of my journey. So now for an entire week, I can still be present and get back to our normal schedule of things before I do some pre-recorded videos and have to travel again. So thank you, everybody, for being amazing and patient with me. But this character, they were told, no, you can't. You can't talk to me anymore. They were told, It could have been a Libra, Gemini, Aquarius. Maybe they were told, you can't speak to me because you aren't behaving like this. And I have no interest in speaking to anyone who isn't this character. If you can't be a King of Swords, truthful, honest, logical, fair, and balanced, then you may not speak to me again. And whomever the character is who said, you can't talk to me, they might have even said, I have no passion anymore for this, no passion for you to communicate with you, because this is what you needed to be for me to communicate with. Hold on. Let's double check that. Why the Page of Wands in the reverse? 10 of Swords. Oh, they said, I don't want to hear from you again. I can't do this with you anymore. This is over. You've put too many swords in my back. And that's why I have no passion for you anymore, because instead of being this character, you did this. So we have, no wonder this, we're going to go ahead and call them the King of Swords now, even though obviously whomever we're talking about, they didn't show up really as a King of Swords. That's what the whole issue has been. And this King of Swords is the one who's feeling confused, about missing this opportunity. Why won't they let me talk to them? It was supposed to go in my favor, where I was going to be able to lay down my burdens. They were going to see me all super successful. We were then going to get back together. Then I would tell them the whole truth, and then I'd be super happy and it would be awesome. But as time is passing, they're realizing why something didn't work out that way. They're realizing why somebody said, you don't come toward me like this. So they got shut down, but their idea of what was going to play out, that was totally different. Tell me about the person who shut them down, because I think we've got to take a look at whoever that character is. We got one card out, the Emperor. Okay, so this doesn't matter, I never read for genders, but it was someone who had their act together. So an Emperor is going to be straightforward. They're going to always say what they mean. It doesn't mean they can't have flaws and faults, but they're not going to waste anybody's time. They're not going to play games. They're above that. They are serious about things, and they expect whoever they deal with to be serious about things. So this storyline so far, it could be about a same-sex couple. Does not have to be. It could also be two brothers. It could be a father and son. It could be, two of anything, right? This could be a woman. This could be a woman. Doesn't matter about gender. But whoever was in Emperor mode, they were in charge of their life. They were looking toward their future. They were caring about the world that they're going to leave behind to the next generation. They're somebody who wants to build an empire. They're somebody who would be all in. If they choose a partner, they expect their partner to be the same quality of person that they are. So this could be a woman just as easily. The bottom line is, and they could have had children. An emperor or an empress vibe oftentimes nurtures something, whether it's a business or whether it's, humanity, or whether it's their own children or their pets or whatever place in life. You can be an emperor and do absolutely anything in life. You can be an emperor and be a janitor. It doesn't matter. It's not about how much money you make. It's the dedication that you bring to something. It's the, I do my best because that's what's required of me as an emperor, to always give it everything that I've got. So they expected that. And what they got, unfortunately, was 10 swords in their back, and they lost passion for whomever this King of Swords was, because the Emperor said you at least needed to be a King of Swords. But instead, this is what I got. Why does the Emperor think that that's what they got from that King of Swords? That King of Swords is the one who's all bummed out that the Emperor won't let them show back up. The Emperor cut them off. This Emperor, they turned off the the fire hose of their nectar and said, you cannot have any more from me. We have a 9 of Cups. They said, you went out, you kept secrets, number one. This is the Emperor saying the reason they say that they got a 10 of Swords from that king is because they said, you had so many secrets. I never even knew what was going on with you. You indulged yourself. You notice how we have her taking these little butterflies out of her little hidey hole in her belly there. That, to me, that speaks of things that were hidden. You kept changing. You notice all the butterflies are there, and butterflies are about transformation, normally a really good thing. But in this case, the Emperor says, you changed the story all the time on me. You weren't consistent. Maybe you changed it 10 different times. Every time that I thought I knew you, you changed something. You changed what you wanted. You changed how you treated me. You weren't consistent in showing me that I mattered. You changed what the plan was. You were always changing, and I couldn't count on anything with you. It's like you would forget. Okay, this is a weird message, but I'm going to go with it because it's what I'm getting off of this. I feel like this King of Swords, who's all bummed out that the Emperor won't have anything to do with him, I feel like instead of being truthful and honest, I feel like they would say different versions of, maybe even act different, like disinterested one day, rude the next day, loving, kind. It's almost like different personas, whatever would garner them what they wanted from each person they dealt with, or every day. It's like this person put on different personas, the way the way I put on jewelry, right? I might take it on and off 5 times a day, especially having clipped earrings, because sometimes they hurt and I change them out. But my point, I'm trying to make light of something is not very light. That's what our Emperor is saying. So that king put 10 swords in their back because they said, you went after whatever you wanted, and you changed on a dime. You changed your words. You changed the lyrics to the song you sung me. That's really what I want to say. We got the Knight of Cups in the reverse, and we got the Queen of Swords upright. Okay, so that emperor is saying, and all I ever asked for was some truth. But the truth that I really got, the truth that I had to be honest about is that you didn't love me. You weren't bringing in your cup of love, because I have to act off of how you behaved, and how you behaved is not coming forth with love. And even if this Knight of Cups had been upright, do you notice how she's like bending over this figure who is not really there? It's a ghost, and she's trying to like offer them a beverage, to bring them back to life. It's almost like she's saying, so I'm going to say that the Emperor now is essentially a feminine, because she's saying, the Emperor is now saying, I had to become the Queen of Swords. Like, I would have matched you. If you had been my mate, I would have matched you. But instead, what I found out is I gave to a connection, but you weren't really there. And I realized that. And that's where I realized I needed to put up a boundary. That's where I realized I needed to be real with myself. You're not showing up. For a while, I wanted to believe that you were, but in reality, this is what I was doing. I was approaching this like spirit figure and trying to like offer it food and beverage. You weren't really there. And maybe that was part of it. Maybe this King of Swords was never really present. Maybe they were gone a lot. Maybe they traveled a lot. Maybe that's why they changed their persona so much. I'm sorry, no, this is not a light and fluffy storytelling. Way to go, Kate, right? I just barely get my feet on the ground after my first leg of travel and get to do a live video where I'm actually with you guys. And I've got like a kind of a rocky story, but this is what we've got right now. I can see why the Emperor said, I had to get real with myself and say, I'm not going to give to a person who's not really present and who's so changeable. Okay, so from here on out, let's go back over and let's ask now, so what does this King of Swords now want? Because remember, they were all bummed thinking, well, I don't get it. Like, why don't they want to talk to me anymore? Almost like they're still confused, but then over time, they're starting to see the imbalance, or they're seeing why would somebody not want to talk to me? It's almost like they were really oblivious as to how their behavior, I mean, because in their fantasy, they were thinking, oh, I'm going to come back forward to that Emperor who's also the Queen of Swords. I'm going to be super awesome. We're going to get back together. It's going to be rad, and we're going to be happy, or I'm going to be happy anyway, because I'm going to get what I want from them, and all that burden will be laid down. So now they're confused, like, why don't they want to talk to me? But over time, it becomes clear. So I want to talk about that part, the Seven of Pentacles and the Justice card. Page of Cups, the Emperor, and the Star. Oh, that's straightforward. It becomes clear I owe them the biggest, fattest apology burger anyone has ever created. Like this Emperor deserves the biggest apology ever, because I was two-faced. I was two-faced, right? We have this is our apology cup. And we have a mermaid in it, and a mermaid is a mythical creature. But to top it off, this mermaid has two faces. One face is looking over here, and the other face is looking toward the past. I wonder if this person was completely like there was a duality to their nature. Remember, we already saw our Emperor said, I don't know where the heck the cards went now. Oh, there. Our Emperor already said, you were so changeable. You hid things. I didn't know who you were, what you were. All I know is you were super self-indulgent. You weren't present for me. Well, it looks like they want to apologize at this point for saying, I was always looking at the past. My brain was looking somewhere other than forward, but I wanted to look forward toward the Emperor, but I wasn't. I was always looking at, this is like a little skeleton face that keeps coming and visiting them. So this person, I feel like they were more than just hot and cold. I feel like they were, how do I explain this? The vibe I get off of this, because this is a mythical creature, I feel like who they presented was not at all who they were. I feel like our Emperor never got to know this person at all. And I feel like they finally understand that. Like, wait a minute, I was a freaking nightmare to that Emperor. I finally get it. I was horrible to that Emperor. I was trying to get a chance with an Emperor while offering them nothing. And to top it off, half the time in my brain, I was still reliving conversations or memories to the point where it was like, I feel like this person like half checked out and would be like lost down memory lane. I don't think that they were dealing with an ex. It's something that's already over, but it's like they were still dealing with it to an extent where the things that they would think about, respond to, say, it's almost like they were hashing out old conversations with an ex that wasn't even still a part of their life. I know that's a weird message, but that's what I see in the imagery here. It finally is clicking for this King of Swords. Like, holy smokes, I was a nightmare, and this was an emperor I was dealing with, and they are, not only are they my person that I see happiness with, but they are the person that I most want to heal things with at this point. But a lot of damage has been done because we see part of, first off, there's like a tornado sky behind her, right? On her head is a sailing ship, almost like this ship has sailed. And this reminds me very much of like a Lady Liberty. She has a skirt that is actually, it's open, like the breeze can go through at this point. So she's kind of like part already having sailed away and part like letting go of this person, because I know this gets confusing because the emperor, remember, is the Queen of Swords, right? But they're realizing that they were dealing with somebody who is way more powerful and confident in themselves and knew who they were than the king ever knew who they were. And they're realizing now, I think that king sees them as someone who they've sailed away from all their chaos, all their turmoil. And worse than anything is the fact that there's a hollow space, almost like the king, or it's like the king is realizing that the emperor now believes that they're not much of a, well, this is going to sound mean, but it's like the king now realizes that the emperor sees them as an empty vessel. And they realize it's fair that you would see me as that. I was chaos. I was two-faced. I was living in a past while trying to pretend I was in the present. I gave a completely false impression of who I was. I owe about 1 billion apologies to this amazing emperor who was always who they said they were. The emperor was stable, was secure, was bold. He's in red for a reason. He, she, doesn't matter. Right now, this emperor was a Queen of Swords. This was somebody who would have been their partner. This is somebody who expected truth, who expected to go the distance. This is not somebody who had ever married them, but would have married them. And they're realizing that. And they're realizing how short they came up and how they came across, which is, what do they even have to heal this with at this point? Because that they were an empty vessel. They showed up with nothing real at all, and they dealt with the most real person they've ever met in their lives, somebody who was so stable, so secure. So at this point, they want to heal this, but how do you do that against a backdrop of a hurricane like this? How do you do that when now the emperor thinks that the wind just blows right through, like the words that they speak will mean nothing? And this person has already gone elsewhere. However, on this card, we have the messenger bringing in flowers. So I don't know if this person is going to try to send, if this king is going to try to send flowers with a message, but you notice how she does still have a heart that's peeking out of the top of her blouse. It's as if the emperor has carried the memory of this person as well as the memory of the chaos, even though trying to move on, trying to let it go, trying to let it blow through them, and knowing that that person, that king who they dealt with, was not much of a, they weren't much of a person at that point in time. They really weren't. They were a hollow, how can you be in two places at once? You can't be. So this king was living in an unfinished memory while trying to pretend that they were present. That's where all this confusion came from in this story, okay? So at this point, what happens? I think we're going to end with this deck. I'm going to stay with this one. The imagery has been speaking loud. That emperor, who's also the Queen of Swords character, wants nothing to do with them. I said, how does this end? They are, not only are they saying, I don't want you approaching me again, they also have possibly another person who thinks unkindly of the King of Swords, because this is like a bodyguard. This is like a bouncer. This is like sassy Kate, who is the mean sister nobody ever asked for. This is the person who goes, What do you mean you want to talk to so and so? Aren't you the joker who, confused them and didn't treat them well? So why do you think you should be allowed to approach them? So I got to say, I mean, an emperor doesn't need somebody to be their bodyguard, but that person straight up reminds me of me that you see standing behind those swords. The emperor put the swords in the ground, and then there's their bulldog who happens to be suspiciously like sassy Kate. She needs a little bit more necklace on, and then that would straight up be me. But let's see. Obviously, they're not welcome to approach. We got the Hierophant and we got the King of Cups. Okay, so this Hierophant card, sad and sorry, I know. My puppy ate it when he was a baby. I still use it because honestly, I always thought this was the weirdest Hierophant card. It's such a heavy, intense, and unpleasant card, even if it had been upright and not damaged. But the fact that my baby ate it added another layer to it, which says, so a Hierophant should be a connection to one's higher self. It can be belief systems. It can be marriage. It can be all those things. We see this very stern individual standing there like the mistress of the dark, and she actually has two other faces behind her. Again, almost like, I don't really trust this card as anything lovely. In fact, this card speaks to me of be suspicious of dogma, of someone telling you this is what you should believe, because why do they have two faces behind them, and why does it seem so oppressive? So it's actually a good thing that it's in the reverse, in my opinion. But it also says, I said what's going to happen, and it says, first off, that king ain't coming anywhere near our character. That king is going to be stopped like a brick wall. And this could indicate that our Emperor, Queen of Swords character is saying, I have lost my faith in you. I think that whatever you say, I don't think that you believe. I don't think that you believe in things. And if these two had talked about marriage, and I really do wonder if they had at some point, because we saw the Emperor always alone, but then we saw a king and a queen of swords, almost like they really believed that something mattered, and at some point this is how they were going to end up. And even that king really thought at some point in time, I'm going to be with that emperor person, and we're going to be all happy, and we're going to have the sun together. It seems to me that I think our emperor character, I think she doesn't believe that of them anymore. She wouldn't believe in that. I think that's why it's such a huge blockage, because her confidence that something as important as like a marriage, I'm sorry, this is a highly specific message, but it is just what it is. She thinks that they don't hold something as sacred. She thinks, if anything, maybe she has questions about all of that now too. It's like, man, how could I have been so wrong about somebody? Like they put swords in my back when I thought that was the person I was going to end up with. I can see there's a bitterness in this. There is. And there's a need to protect oneself that's twinged with hostility and disbelief. And I would even wager to say, I don't think that our emperor has actually gotten over that. Now, an emperor to be upright, though, is somebody that doesn't let it taint the rest of their life. They keep it on, let's say they keep it in the right lane, meaning the only person that they act like this with is the person who did them wrong. An emperor is going to be able to define, like, sometimes I'll use my dog as an example. My dog got attacked by there's actually 3 breeds all at once when he was a puppy one time. The one and only time we went to this particular dog park, he got pounded. And ever since then, he does not like white dogs, does not like them. He immediately sees them as a threat. And some dogs will do that. They'll whatever they remember, that stays in their little dog brain. And that can be tough to help them through. But I'm feeling like that's kind of it. Like this, the emperor says, no, it's not all dogs that are going to attack me. It's just that one. So an emperor can be more discerning, and they know who to be defensive with. And it's only the person, that King of Swords, that stepped across a boundary. So now you say you love me. Now you say you're coming in. Now you say all this. I really just see you as, this is just one weak little sliver of an attempt. You notice how it's like a crescent moon for a head here. Yeah, you're a King of Cups. I'm so sure. It's kind of like our emperor queen person is going to see them as, oh, this is just one more lie, right? Because the moon is what's hidden. So you want to tell me some little piece of something that you care about me. But even if you did care about me, I already know it's not very much. And I also know it's just one more little piece of a bigger story of like threads of things that aren't trustworthy. So obviously, our Emperor character, she does not have a good opinion of this king. And that's not changed throughout any of this. And I'm so sorry. I know this is so brutal. Please remember, they are fictional stories. 9 of Pentacles and the Empress. So now it's really interesting because at last, our character who had to be an emperor all along, who was like, maybe we had a divine feminine who was more in the masculine, like she was ready to push the relationship forward. She was acting in emperor mode. Maybe she was a business owner. She was in her power. She or he, it doesn't matter. But the bottom line is what they're saying now is, I'm finally really happy without you. You saw me as someone who you could put on a shelf, you could not tell truth to. At this point, I actually really am a divine feminine. I really love my life. I'm single. I'm great without you. I mean, she's out here doing like the windmill arms of the hills are alive with the sound of music out here. And she's saying, I'm not even an emperor. I'm a very satisfied empress. I am the person that someone, is going to see as a divine feminine. See, I think that this is an interesting extra message here. I've never had a story where I saw an emperor and an empress, but didn't see them as two different people. I see it as one person. So I'm wondering if our character used to be more of a masculine energy, like meaning they were an action taker. They were the person who had more stability. And over time, even though they really don't want that person back in their life, they don't want that king back, they have shifted into their divine feminine energy. They actually do want to nurture. They do feel really calm, really warm, but they don't want that king back. They've moved beyond it. They've gravitated away. Now they're in a softer, more divine feminine energy, meaning they're just simply the energy of the divine feminine is the nurturing vibe, whereas the masculine, the emperor vibe that they used to be in would have been the direction taking. Maybe they even pursued that king for a little bit, trying to figure out what's going on. I feel you hiding things. I don't get what's going on. And they finally said, oh, I get what was going on. You weren't really present. And I don't want you back. And it kind of still looks like this individual does not want them back. If that's how this story is going to end, then we do need to ask, so what happens with the king? I mean, the king was first befuddled as to why they hanged woman, the hanged man, the hanged one, however we want to say it. They don't know what to do. They don't know what to do about this. Oh, Nina, that's a great comment. Thank you. Thank you. That's a great way to say it. 5 of Pentacles. So they don't know what to do about this. How can I get her to open back up to me? She's closed off. I mean, completely. She won't give me anything. So they kind of sit and chew on this for a little bit. Like, what should I do? She will not speak to me. She will not have anything to do with me. And I only get coldness from her. I don't know yet. Hold on. 7 of Pentacles, the World. Maybe over time, I can just... she'll change her mind. You notice how we have like the little ballerina dancer in the top of her head. It's like and remember, over time, they finally understood that they had been super unfair. At first, they were just like, I don't get it. Why won't she talk to me? So I almost feel like this person already tried to approach her and she would have none of it. And they were so confused because they thought it was all going to be, gold. Like, I'm going to approach her. She's going to be happy to see me. I'm going to feel all full of myself, feel all good. And I'm going to be really happy. It's going to be like, she's just going to see how great I am. And instead, she must have rejected him kind of like a hard pass. And it took them time to finally comprehend, oh, she doesn't want me because of all this stuff that happened, all the way that she sees me. I finally get it. I didn't treat her right. Now she won't talk to me. What should I do? Well, maybe over time she'll change her mind. And then it'll just be a new beginning. It's like they're trying to wait it out. I would argue this person hasn't improved much. Tell me about the World. Man, this is long and I know I should give it over. We got a 6 of Swords in the reverse. It won't change. This is one of those stories where I think she's moved on. And I think that they won't move on. If they're thinking that over time something will get better, This is not because anybody is holding a grudge. It's not because that emperor who's now become the empress is holding a grudge. It's because the way something was handled is the way it was handled. And if somebody doesn't want that king back, that's it. They don't have to have that king back. They don't have to change their mind. There's no rule book out there that says just because somebody wants to be different now, we have to say, oh, okay, then I guess I have to take you back. Now she could, of course, it's up to any individual. But just because somebody says, I don't care that you've changed, I still don't want you back, that doesn't make the empress petty, at least in my thoughts. This says doesn't matter. Don't want to let it go. Dwayne Anderson, good to see you out there. Uh, Page of Pentacles. They will hold on to this and wish to talk to her maybe for the rest of their lives. And I say that because I have to keep the front of this covered because they don't quite have a top on. We have a ghostly serpent and a ghostly, this is all, we see the skeleton of both the snake and the messenger, the bird here. This king is hoping that over time she'll just magically change her mind. But we don't see that happening. Instead, we see them kind of like their opportunity to have changed things with her, their opportunity to have spoken to her, that was so long ago. The more time that they've let elapse, the more any offer that they could have made to maybe correct things seems to have diminished and diminished and diminished and diminished, to the point where that messenger bird is now, it's a skeleton. That serpent that should represent change and personal transformation, it's just a skeleton. And that message of like, I really want to talk to you. I know that there were some things that, I should have done differently. That message has shrunken down to kind of like, a fart in the wind. It's already gone. It's just not anything worthy of mentioning. And I think that's the reality that unfortunately they're going to have to sit with if this is the way this storyline were to play out. Now, here's a wonderful thing. These characters are, of course, fictional, but they also still have free will. They can do something different. No character has to behave in any particular fashion. Outcomes can be changed where there is enough desire to change something. There's enough, power. There's enough caring. There is enough, if somebody's super sincere and they really want to course correct something, I firmly believe that characters can make outcomes change. I don't think that this is written in stone, but it appears that in this story, what we've seen is that waiting is they're a big fan of that. That king is a big fan of doing nothing and hoping that magically other things just happen. Magically, she'll change her mind and we'll have a new beginning. Like they don't have to, they keep trying to avoid taking responsibility, is I kind of think is what we've seen here. Even though they recognize the role that they played in things, they recognize why she doesn't want anything to do with them, they also still just hope that it'll work out and to their advantage. So you know how that empress summarized them by saying, I just see you as somebody who does what's good for you at all times. You are changeable like the wind. We saw that 9 of Cups where the butterflies were flying out of the tummy. I think that that's an accurate assessment here based off of what we've seen, because at every turn, that king just keeps hoping for things to go in their way. They've got this fantasy of how it's going to go. Oh, it doesn't matter that I hurt that person, that I was not consistent with them. When I'm ready, darn good and ready to come in, when I'm no longer dealing with memories of my exes and past things that made me wishy-washy with the emperor, I should be able to just come back into the emperor's world and I should get to have this. They're going to see how great I am. We're going to get back together and I'm going to be really happy because I get my emperor. It's like it never crossed their mind. They don't get to treat people like that. And that's the thing. I wonder if they have a lot of personal growth that they still need to do. We don't see them realizing that. We just keep seeing them waiting for someone else to change their mind. But without them even taking action. So that continued, like, I'm so confused. Why don't they want to deal with me? It's like the kid who throws sand in the other kid's eyes in the sandbox. And then everybody says, I don't want to play with you. And then they're like, nobody will play with me. I don't know why. And it's like, well, because you were a jerk. I'm sorry, but you don't, that should teach you, don't do that. Don't throw sand in the other kid's eyes. But it's almost like this person needs the universe to come in and sit him down and be like, so you were a jerk, and that's why the Empress doesn't want to deal with you. and I think that this person needs a heart to heart. All right. That was a long one. You know what, guys? Just because I want to say thank you to everybody who's hanging out with me right now. Oh, it's so awesome. 438 of you are in the room. Thank you guys for being here. Only 161 of you apparently like the storytelling, though, because that's the only thumbs up I see. For those of you that do enjoy the story and are here, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for popping by, whether you dig it or not. Hey, not every story is going to be super fun, but I'm going to do a free read for one of you guys right now that's live with me. If you would like it to be you, just put the letter R for read. Just then it's just one letter that you have to type in, and I will choose somebody at random. I just wanted to do a quick little thank you, guys. Super awesome to have you guys here. I appreciate each and every one of you, especially being patient with me while I've been out and about. This is, as I mentioned before, I got done with the first leg of my journey. So now I'll be around for about a week, and then I have another leg of my journey where I'll probably do some pre-recorded videos again, although they didn't go over so well. I don't know if YouTube just didn't circulate them or if nobody wanted to watch them because they were pre-recorded. I did my best, but sometimes my best just ain't good enough. That's okay. We roll with it, right? We roll with it. All right, you guys, let's go ahead and I might do two. Monica, darling, I'm going to do a story for you right now, and I'm still going to choose one other person after Monica, okay? All right, Monica, let's go ahead. Let's do a story for you, but of course not about you. And I only say that because I'm not a psychic. I am a storyteller, but let's see, darling. Thank you, everybody, for being here. You guys are so awesome. We got the Ace of Pentacles. Ace of Pentacles is about a new beginning. It can also be about a new bank account, like a good bump in the money department. It's a fresh start, though. And everything from abundance to, and abundance can mean anything, right? It can be a sense of well-being. It can be the abundance of healing. The color green is heavily present here because green is associated with growth, nurturing, healing. Yes, cash flow, terrific, like green, like life-giving, trees are green and they give us oxygen. And so it can be associated with a lot of different things, but this is a wonderful turn of fortune, I'll say. It is something like kind of that dominates, that lands, that comes and kind of like presents itself. This is a turning point. And to have a turning point like that as the first card out, that's real strong. Actually, I want to go with the cat deck. I don't know why. Because I guess the cats always, we got a 10 of cups in the reverse. The cats always represent to me a form of independence. And this is a new beginning, maybe to look at happiness for what it is. Is happiness, this is an over the top card, right? We have these two little kittens and they're looking up at the sky and it's filled with all those birds that they could eat. And they're imagining we're going to eat every single one of those birds together. And it's going to be this and it's going to be that. And that can kind of be like fantasy land. Sometimes the best thing that we can do is get more realistic about what is happiness. Is happiness like when I have $1 million, then everything will be great, and anything less than that is not really going to be that great. This is like a new way to look at it, to say, wait a minute, some things are a bit of a fantasy. Those little kittens are not going to eat every single bird in the sky. Just like a relationship is not going to be, oh my God, me and my partner are like, we can, sense each other's thoughts every day. We can't do that. It's not going to be that way. We're going to have fights. We're going to, have days where, we smell bad. We're going to have all of those ups and downs, and that's okay. So I think that it's a more realistic view. I think that's the first big change in all of that. And I think taking the mystere out of something already brings it into a more like, oh God, this feels better. This feels more manageable. This feels like, Seven of Pentacles. It feels like we're building something, we're growing something. It feels like, oh my God, look at what I've learned in my lifetime. I am so much more grounded, and I've actually made way more progress in my life than maybe I've ever given myself credit for. I'm more realistic. Monica, you angel. Thank you. And Natalie, thank you. Thank you guys so much. No, this is like a Seven of Pentacles is maybe this turning point is also, sometimes we take stock of our lives, or at least it's happened to me in my life, where at a certain, it's not an age, it's more, and it's not like a decade of my life per se. It's like when I've learned a certain amount of different lessons that have all subtly contributed to making changes in who I am, making me like a little more mature. It's not like I got mature from like, age 21 to 22. Ooh, I'm so much more mature. No, but in some kind of a progress somewhere along the lines, I'm 42 now. I am still me, but I'm also, I think, a little calmer, a little more well-rounded version of me. And that's where we can start to look at the versions of us that came before and how much we've learned and see it as like, wow, I've grown a ton. Not, oh, I've gotten old, but I've grown a ton. Like I've actually got this wealth of experience. I feel more confident in myself. And I feel like these are the things that are really presenting themselves. And that's what I mean when I say I don't think it's a moment in time where we suddenly go, wow, I'm so much more of a realist now, but I'm underscored with bitterness. Not at all. This is about really loving ourselves, liking where we are, and seeing how far we've come, and seeing the realistic version of what life really is, and how life is actually really amazing, and that we've accomplished so much, and that there's yet more to accomplish. We're only at the 7 of Pentacles right now. We still get to the 10. So no matter where we are in life, there's so much more still to be had. And it's like, holy hell, I've made a ton of progress. Maybe I didn't see it that way until now, but I'm super pleased with where I am, with who I am. We got an Ace of Cups in the reverse, and we have the 6 of Cups in the reverse. This is a character who's not trying to relive past experiences either. This is like, I actually realize that maybe I've closed out a couple cycles, old soulmates I'm not really interested, old lessons I don't really need to redo anymore. Now, this could also say, though, that our character is saying, but I also realize it might be time for me to shift gears a little bit and spend a little bit more time filling my own cup. Because this can be a personal. I look at the aces as personal, and this Ace of Cups in the reverse says, I think our character would like to they're recognizing that anything that they've walked away from is because it didn't really satisfy them. But in recognizing what didn't satisfy us, it's also a really great time to start noticing what we do want to pour more of our energy into. That this is somebody not wanting to repeat the past cycles. They don't need to repeat the past cycles. They already learned those lessons. It's like, why would we say, well, I'm 32 now, but I think I probably should go back and repeat, whatever high school geometry class. We don't have to do that. Even if we sucked at the geometry, it doesn't matter. We don't have to go back and redo it. We have no practical application for it right now. So we can just say, that was a wash. Like, I got through high school, I'm done with it. Now, in this case, it could talk about a soulmate. It could talk about nostalgia. This is somebody who doesn't want the nostalgia. They're not nostalgic about something. They're only looking to their future, because that's what that 7 of Pentacles is. It's about the growth. And that Ace of Pentacles is all about the growth. Okay, so let me just I wanted to get one other. Somebody's in the Empress mode. That is awesome. Empress mode is here all because we've got a character that is, they're sitting there in that frame of mind. And I wanted to go with the card that or a deck rather, that shows me both sides, so we get a fair example of how it's gonna turn out. We have like the secret to our character breaking away from anything from the past is that they are in full-blown Empress mode. They have not only listened to their guides, but their guides are like a continual source of information. And it's not like, oh my God, what should I do? They don't have to consult. They just naturally are in flow with their guides. Also, this is a really powerful guide. This is not like a, just a little bluebird or a little raven. This is a full-blown, like, hawk. This is somebody with sharp, far-sighted energy. This is her guides can show her the direction that her whole life is going to go. It's a very powerful, and she's wanting for nothing. Whereas if it had come out in the wrong energy, this would have been somebody who is like lamenting all those lost moments and that happiness that they should have had that they didn't get to have, and they'd be lost in those memories of days gone by that were more beautiful than the days that they're currently living. That is so not this Empress. This Empress is all about the future, all about there hasn't been, what I want to say, this character is saying, I've never made a mistake. I've chosen experiences because those were things that my soul at that point in time, whoever I used to be, needed to experience certain things. I dealt with soulmates that I needed to experience certain experiences with. because that's who I was at that point. And now that I am beyond that point, all I say is thank you for the lessons. And that helped me to like decide who I really want to be from this point onward in my life. She's got an amazing life ahead of her. What does she have up ahead? We have a tower, and we have a 5 of cups. So the tower is in what we would perceive as we don't have to break anything down. If the tower had been in this position, it would have been, we got to burn stuff down and start. This is not that case. This is like, instead, we see a safe space in the middle of the storm, right? We see on this dark and cloudy night, this is a warm, safe place that's lit. This is a place where wherever she is in her life right now, there's nothing that she has to escape. There's nothing that she has to run from. There's nothing that she has to tear herself away from. And this particular 5 of cups is not in the negative, right? She's not sitting here bemoaning what has been lost. She's in this position. She's got cut flowers that she's putting in these beautiful vases. What's up ahead for her is a time of safe haven, no matter what storms are around her. And she's going to be counting all of her little lucky stars, all the things that she's already done for herself. Those flowers always represent romance to me. Doesn't mean that she's going to have 3 different romances, but good. She got a lot of people still to meet. She's got a whole life. Her life is going to be very full. Yellow is one of the chattiest colors, so it can also be like a lot of conversation, a lot of different individuals showing up in her world, showing up in her life. But I look at it as romantic. So she may have a couple of really amazing romances still up ahead for her. Or maybe one that's going to be more significant. Maybe she'll have 3 to choose from because you notice she selected one of them. But there's a lot of happiness here. A very full social calendar also is what it looks like to me. She's what a different energy. What a lovely, lovely shift in like a very realistic character. And I love that that's where her happiness begins. The realistic energy. Anyway, I'm going to leave that there. I hope there was something in that made some lick of sense, but if not, no worries. It's just a story after all. Thank you, everybody. I can see that you guys are so kind. I've seen several of you guys donating to my channel right now. Thank you so much. I'm sorry that I didn't get a chance to look up and say so. I was trying not to break my train of thought. I'm a little bit like a dog with a squirrel. If I get myself off track, then it's hard to jump back in. So please forgive me for not saying a more gracious thank you. I can see somebody here tip me an amazing donation. Leslie, there you are. Thank you so much, you sweetheart. A Montana biscuit. You're amazing. Thank you so much. And Evanice, thank you. Thank you so much. You guys are absolutely beautiful. I appreciate that so much. All right, I'm going to choose one last person right now, just because I wanted to do one other tonight. So Linnea Bobo, let's go ahead and see what storyline we get for you, Linnea. Thank you guys so much. Linnea, I feel like we need to go with my traveling deck, the map deck. I feel like we need to take a look at, One Ring Circus. Very nice. Card number 15. So One Ring Circus, the way I always interpret this card is someone who's, they can make their own fun. This is somebody they got like the life of the party energy no matter what. This is somebody who is tickled by life. They don't really need anybody to show them, like some people need other people to tell them what's popular, what's funny, what's this, what's that. And they kind of pattern their lives off of what other people's, thoughts are. That is so not this person. This person also gets they're amused by life. That's always how I look at this. Like somebody who generally has such a good, strong sense of self, and they're like, you know what? It's just life is a big old circus. There's funny stuff that happens. There's crazy stuff that happens. It's up and down. It's just what life is. And I don't really let it get to me too much. Instead, I'll look at it as an opportunity for like a spectacle. And I'm a part of that spectacle too. It's somebody who's got like a wonderful sense of awareness that life doesn't have to be all so serious. Life can really be, I don't know, just a nice vibe in general. Instead of it having to be, how do I say this? Even life is more colorful because it's supposed to be. You know, things aren't, we have variety. If we look at all the different animals and plants that are on this planet, obviously we're supposed to have variety because it adds something to life. So I feel like this is a character who the different individuals that they meet, they may find some quirky little, like they may have very eclectic friends. They may have quirky little things that they pick up along the way from all kinds of different people out there. And it's just kind of how they assess life, you know, pick up cute little one liners from, you know, quirky friends who say funny things. And it's this big menagerie of life. Because that card, we started out with so many animals, I want to stick with an animal deck now as well. So this is, somebody's a powerful leader, which we kind of already established that with that kind of easy, like laissez-faire attitude, that acceptance. Although also there could be some interest in, I don't know why this makes me think of like the in France, some of the circuses that they had there, like the Cirque du Soleil and things like that. It makes me think of somebody who's got like an international flavor to them, kind of a, I love Paris. I love France. It is very sexy to me, but there's that element to this as well. And maybe even the fact that we've shifted into like an animal deck, like there's this underlying raw vibe here. And we double down on that because we've got somebody who's contemplating, what do I want next? I think I'm ready to jump into the fire because, hey, I'm always ready to jump into the fire. But we have this lion who's, and if you think again, even though this is a totally different deck and we were not talking about the circus anymore, what is the top attraction at any circus? It was the lion tamers, right? And you notice how we have this amazing like open mouth, like I am so ready, I'm so comfortable, I'm so confident that I'm comfortably just sitting here staring at but instead of a lion, you know, a person putting their head in the lion's mouth, the lion is sitting here contemplating putting their head in the human's mouth that we see here. But it's all about like a role reversal. It's almost a little bit like our lead character kind of chuckles and goes, people don't really realize that I can reverse the script on them pretty swiftly. I've always got this ability to get the upper hand, and I don't do it through devious attention. I just do it through the fact that I don't feel like I put myself into positions of fear. I fear no one. I fear nothing. I kind of chuckle at life. That's just how life goes. And I'm here for the experience. I'm here to live large, and I'm here to have passion, and I'm here to just go ahead and make choices. And every choice that we make, we could get burned. We could buy a car off, you know, some used car lot and it doesn't work and we get burned on that a little bit. We could fall in love with someone and they turn out not to be the right person. We get a little burned. But the bottom line is this person goes, yeah, but I chose it. I was always in the power position. I pick it. That's the attitude of our character. Very strong. And then we have the Seven of Cups. So our character is in a moment where they need to make a choice. They have something big on their mind right now. And I love the fact that they're looking into this novelty store of all the bizarrery, as it says. And we've already kind of talked about how this character may have like eclectic friends, eclectic ideas, eclectic thought processes, and they just kind of roll with it. They roll with, you know, like life is a big menagerie. It is like a novelty shop. We never know what we're going to get exactly. But we have a character who has to make a decision about something, but they're making it with the most amazing attitude ever, which is one of a position of power. Whatever like choice they're going to make is going to be sure to give them something exciting that they haven't grabbed it yet. The ace is always about personal choice. And you notice that we have to, okay, so this card is really funny to me also because, yes, they have to grab a hold of it. But you notice how we have these little like UFOs flying around. And then we have like a military insignia. It's a little bit like, there's been a lot of talk in recent years, you know, about how the militaries and across the globe have kind of started to admit that, yes, we've seen, you know, unidentified flying objects and such. And it's like, it's a thing that we're really in power, but normally we're really in power, but we can't seem to grasp what are those objects, right? And I almost feel as if our lead character is saying, I don't know how everything's going to go yet. And maybe I like the mystery of life until I decide exactly what answer I want to land on, what I believe. I'm not just going to force myself to pick. Our lead character is not dragging their heels. They're not indecisive and fearful. This is such a different character we're describing. Whatever choice they have to make, they're not trying to shirk anything. Ace of Cups, they want to make sure they do the thing that they really love. They want to make sure that they choose based off of their emotions. So our lead character is really diving and digging in deep about what do I want? What will make me the happiest? And until I'm sure of that, I will not make a choice. Only because I got to know what I believe is true, from my heart space. So this character they're a very passionate individual. I don't know if this is going to make a lick of sense, but that's what I've got so far. This is not a twin flame card, right? It's a Two of Pentacles. So it's a card of choice, but now it's a card of balance, and it's a card of like conjoined twins. So I always look at this one like it's a little bit of like a twin flame vibe. But you notice this llama is kind of like being pulled in different directions. But we have this perfect dichotomy, I'll say. This could work. This could be super harmonious, whatever this choice is that our character has to make. They want something that will suit them in the external version of themselves, and also like that inner version of ourselves. And when we have to choose something that fits us, maybe that's the question that has to be asked is, does this suit me in the external me, or also does it suit the internal me? Or is that really what the biggest question is which part of me needs to be more satisfied, my heart or my logical self? Because if it's a question about work, and Two of Pentacles it could be like, do I do the job that I just love, but maybe it's going to be a while before I can make the money that I want? Or is it more important that I make the money that I want so that I can live, the days that I'm not working, doing the things that I love? That's a tough question. Do I go with my logical, or do I go with my heart? There's an inner side of me and an outer side of me, and both halves are equally as important, but where is that perfect balance? The balance is somewhere between the two. And I think that if it's easier to talk about this like it was about career stuff, because it could be like somebody goes, well, I'm going to work 4 days a week at a 9 to 5 that I don't love, but it's my staple. And then I'm going to take those other 3 days off, and I'm going to really focus on what my passion is. But that 9 to 5 is going to pay the bills, so I can use those other 3 days to really build, myself up in the thing that I'm passionate about, the thing that I really want to do for the rest of my life. That could be the happy medium for this character. I'm just using it as an example because this does seem it is about passion, and it is about making sure that we don't sacrifice the joy of life, and it's about making sure that a character, whatever this is, if this is a great idea that they have, they're going to keep it safe and sacred as they move toward. This is like somebody who's got a big life goal, a big plan, because they're protecting it. And we only protect the stuff that we really think is super, super valuable, right? And we have a little armadillo here that's chugging along, and it's a Knight of Pentacles. So it's like, you know what I've realized? I realized that I'd rather take the longer road and do what I really want to do and do it right, than try to leap ahead and jump into something and maybe have it not work out. The thing that I really love is worth doing slow. It's worth building slow. It's worth putting in the effort. Whether this is about a relationship, or whether this is about a career or a hobby, whatever this is, it matters to this character. And they are the ones in charge of making their own choice right now. And I think that their choice is, if it matters, then it matters enough to do it right. It matters enough to make sure that I protect something, so I go slow on it, whether it's getting to know somebody really, really well, or taking the time where we give each other the space if we just can't make a relationship work right now, or whether it's a career. It's like, what I love is worthy of taking the time that it takes to get there. So again, our character is giving themselves that position of power, saying, look, I'm not afraid of anything, but I do want to make a good decision. And I boil it down and I say, what matters? That's what I should take the time and do well. I think that this is kind of a fanciful story that then really was just very down to earth as far as like the big message there. It's okay that something takes time. If it matters that much, it's worthy of it taking time. And I guess that's always maybe true, but man, time isn't super fun to have to wait and spend, you know, a bunch of time waiting for, but because our character is so empowered, they don't look at it that way. They look at it like I'm in charge of this choice that I'm making. And I think that's what I loved about that. All right, I'm going to leave that there. Thank you guys so much for being here with me. You guys are so awesome. Pam Jam, great to see you. Peace and love. So glad you were like the first in the house. Thank you so much for hanging out tonight, you guys, and everybody. And again, thank you for your patience with me as I've been away for a little bit. But yeah, I'm still going to go do a couple of other videos still tonight for some zodiacs. I'll get as many as I can right now this evening, and then all throughout the week I will be around as usual because I've done the first leg of my journey already, and I don't travel again until next week. So I'll be able to be kind of in a normal pattern for a little bit. You guys, thank you, everybody. Lotta, great to see you. Vatsala, I'm delighted you're here. My pleasure, Linaya. You're awesome. Thank you. Bye, everybody.